I didn't get a chance to see him before he went to the heavens. But I just want to tell you, thank you, man, just for being the positive influence on me, being a voice of wisdom in my life, being a voice of wisdom in a lot of people's lives. And you're going to be great with this, brother. Yes.
Amen.
Amen. Oh, man. Radio Dave.
Wow. First, let me, I just want to say peace and blessings to everybody that's here physically and those that are not, but are tuned in. This is a very surreal moment and atmosphere for myself. And the reason being, as Earl said, you know, a lot of people in Cleveland know me as Radio Dave. Used to co-host the radio show at 88.7 back in the 90s. But even before I touch on that, and I would try to be brief, seeing what Silver means to not just myself, but to so many different faces. As I'm sitting here and I'm listening to Gwen, I'm like, I know that face. And then I'm like, wow, that's Gwen. I remember Gwen. Chuck talking and bringing up Nate, that's my uncle.
I know.
I grew up in the music business, and before I even got on the radio, Silver was in my life. He was one of my mentors. Silver B, David Morrow, Nate Simpson. These are people I tell people my motto is I'm a very boring person with an extraordinary life. And part of that is because of Silver B. So when I got on 88.7, which was John Carroll, but I was still a senior in high school, and I got an opportunity to co-host a radio show. You know, teachers on the Fridays will put on the chalkboard, make sure y'all listen to Radio Dave. But Silver B was so important in my life. I know we all have our stories, but like when it comes to like the youth and Cleveland hip hop and things like that, as much as I've had people, and I just moved back to Cleveland 2 months ago. That's why it's also surreal to me, because I probably saw Silver 25 years ago, and he's always telling me you need to have your own show. You need to, you know, he's the one that what got me from still wanting to be a rapper, quote unquote, to saying you have much bigger plans in your life. I put on my Facebook page how while I was doing the radio show, and we had the biggest radio show, even compared to like, you know, 108 or whatever was, you know, the hip hop show here at the time, everybody was listening to 88.7. All my friends were rappers. I had regular friends, but all my friends was like Too Short and Puffy when he was, you know, and LL Cool J, and all these people were my friends. But Silver was part of that, inspiring me and pushing me to do more. I put on my Facebook page how he said, man, what you doing tomorrow? Or not tomorrow, he said next week. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, you and I are going to the Cleveland schools, the junior highs, so you can talk to these kids. And I was like, me talk to the kid? He's like, you Radio Dave. He goes, but Radio Dave has more important things to do in the world besides playing records. And so me and Silver B went out to schools, and I find myself in classrooms talking to kids. And at first, I'd never forget, and I'm sorry I can't remember the first school, my mind is just, and I walk in there, and they're just being unruly and just kind of, and I'm sitting there standing there rather going, I don't know, Silver. like these kids, I'm not a celebrity. Now, at the time, just to put it in context, I was on the radio. I was managing an artist named Bandit. We had the #5 record in the country at the time called All Men Are Dogs. I was also part of the Bone Thugs and Harmony in the beginning. Part of that. My Bone stories alone are probably legendary, but won't go into all that. But I'm standing there going, I'm nobody, Silver. And he said, and I remember the teacher was trying to get the class to calm down, and Silver was standing over there, and then he said, you know, and the way Silver talks, and his voice is very, you know, he said, all right, y'all ready to calm down? And they kind of, you know, it was, you know, kids, you know, I think it was 7th grade or something. And he said, we got Radio Dave that want to talk to you. And everybody shut up. And I heard this one kid say, "Wow, you here?" That was a powerful moment that I wouldn't have had without Silver. Like the conversations that we would have. But again, I know everybody got stories with Silver, and I love hearing that. But my experiences in that time, the early '90s, and what was going on in Cleveland, on the hip hop scene of things, and to be in the middle of that, but to be in the middle of that because of what Silver, like, even doing the radio, Silver was like, you got to do it. Getting into management and doing and working with artists, Silver was like, you got to do it. I would go to him and my uncle, Nate, we was doing stuff, putting together after parties and doing all kinds of stuff. But Silver B, I mean, I had, like I said, many influences. Silver B, Johnny O, Kermit Henderson, all these people was in my life every day, and I was the young guy. But they was putting me in, somebody mentioned Glenville Festival. Silver B called me. It was like, you go MC the Glenville Festival. Like, what? He's like, yeah, Radio Dave, you're gonna do the Glenville Festival. It's like, me? and in '95, I believe it was, I'm on the stage at Glenville Festival, MCing the Glenville Festival because of Silver B. So the fact that I haven't spoken to him in 25 years, I'm trying to wrap this up because again, my Silver B story is legendary of things that me and him have seen, gone through, talked. But here I am, 25 years later, just moved back to Cleveland, and because of Silver B, I'm on the radio. That's crazy powerful to me. And I guess I can say this. Ironically, I literally just signed my offer and exception to join Radio One.
All right, sir.
Just today.
Perfect.
So it's crazy to me. I'm sorry. I know I don't mean to be talking.
Go ahead.
But
I'd like to say before I get off the phone, I've been listening to all the fantastic tributes about my brother that I've known for almost 60 years. He was a person, again, as I said earlier, that not only taught, but he seeked not to the 60s with Silver B. For example, when our group first signed to Paramount, that's why Silver B. He was always there at our shows, but his mentors were Mike Payne, Chuck Conway, knows what I'm talking about, Jockey Johnson, Jim Ragg, Chuck, Lynn Colliver, Lynn and I knew each other since we were 8. Those are the people that, and he was always humble. He never said a mean word. I remember when we were doing the Saxman, about more recent, when I hit the stage, I saw him right at the door. And I was looking for him. He was right there. I said hi to him. And then after we came off the stage, I was looking for him to give him a hug. But he was. Again, for the children to support whatever artist came out of Cleveland, he was there for that. But those people like Mike Payne, those are the people that he heard. And for those youngsters, y'all gotta go and Michael Calhoun's on the phone. Mike Payne was the original rapping DJ. And for those in Cleveland, he's a Cleveland legend. And when I get off the call here, ask Chuck Conway. love you all. I'm gonna miss you. I wish I was home. You know, I'll try to come home. If I know when the services are going to be ahead of time. I'm not here in Los Angeles. So I want to say to everybody, I love you all. Keep this spirit alive. And I can't say anymore. Get choked up. God bless everybody.
Thank you, Brother John.
I just want to wrap up what I was saying really quick. It's again the connection of Silver. As I walked in, I'm seeing faces, and I'm like, I haven't seen people in a while, but as I'm walking in and the gentleman was talking, the voice sounded familiar, and then as he was leaving out, I'm like, man, I know you, and he was like, Jeff. So here's what's crazy. Come to find out, so Jeff, as he probably mentioned, was in a group called Smooth Approach. I was the first to play Smooth Approach on the radio. And he remembered that. And I was like, wow. So I was like, give me your number. I haven't seen him in 30 years. He gives me his number. I had his number in my phone already. One other thing I just want to say as I give up my seat and my thing, Earl, thank you so much for doing this. You might saw when you posted, I was like, I have to be there. Like, this is why I'm back. I came back to help take care of my mom. I was in Florida. And everybody's like, you left Florida? It's like, yeah, I had to come take care of my mom. And after I made that decision to come take care of my mom, she got some medical news that was like, God was like, this is why you got to go back. And the fact that I'm here on the radio, the memories of Silver B. But I also, I hope nobody minds, but I just want to take this time to also send my condolences as we celebrate the life of Silver B in heaven. But I also want to send my condolences. Just yesterday, my good friend Steve, aka Lazy Bone, his mom passed yesterday. So I just want to, say my condolences to the House family as well. I don't know who all is listening, but I just want to say that. But I love Silver. Like I said, people who know me know when I say I'm a very boring person. I don't drink, smoke. I'm not a rah-rah person, but my life is extraordinary. And that's a big part because of Silver B. So thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. Love everybody. Love y'all.
Amen.
Somebody can have a seat.
Mr. Gardner.
Larry H. Gardner, headlines and headaches of VoiceRadio.com, where the legendary Silver B made his after he made his legendary appearances on 93.1 WZAK and everywhere else that he was. I got 4 parts to a Silver B story, and I almost choked up last week as I was doing the show on Thursday. First off, anybody remember Showwagon? Yes. Okay. He was one of the MCs of Showwagon when I did it back in 1994, 1995. That's when the Notorious Big came out with Ready to Die. Listening on a One More Chance in the car with a couple of people, and Silver B was an MC. Garfield, there was a talent show, and I did a song called Genuine #1 Fan. And Silver B was the MC. He always was there. He remembered me from the talent shows. That's number 2. Number 3, I was in an organization called Cake Boy, Cake Girl IMC, where we pretty much gave parties and invested in the community. And one of our investments was Happy Meals and toys for the kids at the McDonald's It was one on 30th and one on 116th in Buckeye. And Silver B showed up all the time. He showed up for those events and other events and things of that nature. And lastly, I had a meeting with Errol Porter and the other vice president. And Errol, shout out to EP, the show host, told me to come down to a show on Wednesday. Guess what the show was? The Edgemontainment Royalty Roundtable hosted by Silver B. That was in 2015. And I started my radio career here February 1st, 2016. Silver B convinced me to start my radio career here. He convinced me to start my radio career here. And he's always been a mentor, I've always been a supporter of everything that I did. He even said I should be on television one time. I'm like, me? No, my light skin behind? No, I should be. But he convinced me to do other things, work in the community, being an advocate, an activist. And so we as radio hosts here, and I'm talking about my colleagues here at VoiceRadio.com, Al Porter Jr., Laura Cowan, Daughters of the Nile, David Delgado, everybody else that's here at VoiceRadio.com. We have some big shoes to fill. We don't have to. No one's going to be another William Silverby Richards. No one's going to say in the mix like he does. No one will do that. But the thing about it is like with from the Kathy Ray Colemans to the Al Porter Jr.'s to the Art McCoys to everybody else, we have to make sure that not only we keep on doing what we do here in black media, but we keep on pushing the narrative for betterment of our communities here, because that's what Silverby would have wanted. That's exactly what he would have wanted. Not only for the politicians, but for the entertainers like Brandon X. Bell, like those people that he put on to make sure that they had a voice. Because some of these people out here in our community feel like that they don't have a voice at all. They have a voice of like we are part of the voice of the voiceless, and Silverby was the main reason that we did that. And the thing about it is he always supported back to school giveaways. I see my man Jerome Brown walking in 777 right behind me. The thing about it is that he made a strong voice for black on black, black man's army. He was everything that was positive in the community. That's what Silverby, I'm not saying was, I'm saying is. Because of the simple fact of the matter is, even though the body may be gone, the spirit is still here. The spirit never dies, and his will never die. Now, he's up there with the people he took pictures with, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, things of that nature, so he's fine. He has a new body. And if anybody believes in the higher power, believes that you have a new body in Christ. And he believed in God. His strong belief in God. He's up there with Robert Godwin, who was brutally murdered on Easter Sunday. He's up there with Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, the people that not only were famous to us and to the world, but the people that he helped with along the way. And no matter what we do from here on, after the celebrations of life, after the food's eaten at the repast, after everything else, we have to carry on his legacy. Just because he's not here that we can see him, physical, touch him, talk to him, or he talk to us. Silverby isn't here. He's in our hearts. He's in our prayers. He's in our minds. Because the simple fact of the matter is that he was a devastating loss. You know, the politicians he helped, Mayor Justin Bibb, who shouted him out at the 11th Congressional Parade, Chantel Brown, Blaine Griffin, who's the City of Cleveland president of City Council, Richard Starr, the new councilman, Deborah Gray. Those people he also helped, those people that he talked with, he saw. Those entertainers, from the local hip-hop artists to the national hip-hop artists that he helped. I mean, this is the only man I knew that took a picture side by side with one of my favorite artists, Jay-Z. So can't tell me nothing of what Silverby had or had not done. He was a mentor of mine. He was the reason, one of the reasons that I got into it. He was a mentor to so many people. He was a mentor to Kevin MC Chill Hurd. He was a mentor to everybody. He stood side by side with Harry Boomer. I remember that parade that he was in. The Cavaliers Championship Parade. There's so many memories of Silverby that we have. And the thing about it is, one of the biggest, I knew that I was devastated. I woke up Monday morning to go take pictures at the 11th Congressional District Parade. It was raining. It delayed it a little bit. We have rain in Cleveland. It's no secret. But the thing about it is like sometimes when you know somebody's supposed to be there, that it's not rain. I felt like you know, the angels were crying because Silver B should have been there. That was my feeling. And I started to think as I put on my clothes and get dressed to walk down there, Silver B should be here. But he's looking down on us smiling. And I know that this is probably going to sound crazy and outrageous. And I'm going to miss this from him. And I know some of y'all are crying in here, and I'm crying with y'all. I was crying last week. I was crying yesterday. Hell, I'll probably cry when I leave here. But could I get an intermix one time? From everybody? Please do this for me. Everybody who's a mic, yes, mix. One time, whoa. 1 second.
Everybody. It's 7 of them. It has to be
7 of them. It gotta be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
On the
Let's
count
go.
of 3, we're gonna say Silver B in the mix. Okay? On the count of 3.
1, 2, 3. Silver B in the mix.
That's how you do it.
So, if nobody tells you that they love you today, I love each and every one of you, from the people who are in here, who are the people, from the people on the phone to the people watching at home on Zoom. Thank you, God, for William Silver B. Richards. Peace, love, and hair grease. I'm going to put a black fist stuff on my man so it'll be up in heaven. All right.
Real quick, before we're going to have Councilwoman Juanita Gotti, right after Ebony Daniels. Ebony